Hello and welcome to Prime Code Media. My name is Sana Mapena. This is an introduction to Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is a free front end framework for easier and faster web development. What is front end? Front end refers to what the user sees when they visit a web page, for example, links, buttons, images, and so on. The opposite of a front end is back end, which refers to everything behind the scenes, and that will be, for example, the server and database. This framework was first developed by a team at Twitter and was released as an open source product in 2011. So Bootstrap is a framework that we can use for easier and faster front-end web development. This because it has an extensive library of ready-made design templates for buttons, forms, tables, image carousels, and more. What also makes this framework great is that it enables us to create responsive websites. When I first came across the word responsive in web development, I thought the word referred to the loading speed of websites. Guess what? I was wrong. A responsive design ensures that a website adjusts to different devices. It means a responsive website has different layouts for desktops, smartphones, iPads, and so on. So the same website can be viewed on different viewports because it is able to adapt to all of them. I'm going to use one of Bootstrap's easy to use pre-styled elements, a button, as an example of how great this framework is. To do this, I'm going to use CodePly because unlike CodePen, it allows us to use frameworks including Bootstrap. So I'm going to select Bootstrap 5 here because this is the latest version of this framework. First, I am going to create a button using a button generator. I'm going to use a CSS3 button generator.com. So this is the button that I am going to create. As you can see, this button already is pre-styled and also has a hover state. When I hover over it, as you can see, it becomes clickable. I have an option to change, for example, the Arial, the font family. I can change it to from Arial to Georgia, for example. I can also change it to Korea, new, but I'll just leave it at Arial. And font color, I can also change the font color. I have that option as well as the font size, but I'm just going to leave everything as is in terms of the settings. And this is the CSS code behind this button here. So I'm going to go back to CodePly. Let me just remove this example snippet here. I'm going to add a button element, and then I am also going to give this button element a class, and then the class that I'm going to give it, I'm going to take it from here. As you can see, this is the class btn for button. So I'm going to give this button a class name. The class will be btn. Next, I am going to come back to css button generator.com, and then I am going to copy this css code here and then go back and paste it inside the css style sheet here, and then click run. Now as you can see, here is that button. I have managed to create this button by first I added this button element here and gave it a btn class. and then I came back here to css3buttongenerator.com and then copied this CSS code and pasted it inside a style sheet here, and the result is that we get this button right here, which already also has a hover state like it did inside here. So this was quick and easy, right? Now wait and see how Bootstrap enables us to create a button. Now let me just remove the CSS code from the style sheet here, and then I'm just going to run this code to ensure that everything is removed. So the only thing that I am going to add inside here is another class. The class will be btn primary, and then I'm going to once again run. Now we have a button. This time around we managed to get this button by just adding these two words, btn primary. And what we can also do is that we can enlarge this button. If we think it's too small, we can enlarge it by adding another class. Let me add another class here, btn lg, and let me once again run this. Now the button is larger than it was earlier. So with just a few words, we were able to create a button and specified its size, and that was much quicker and easier than using a button generator. This is not a result of magic or some supernatural power. There is code behind these few words. Let's check it out. To do that, I'm going to go to getbootstrap.com. Inside bootstrap.com, go to docs. Once it's opened, click on download, and then scroll down to where it says compiled CSS and JS, and then click download. Now you'll see a zipped file will be downloaded. Now open the zipped file. Inside it, there's a Bootstrap folder. Click open the Bootstrap folder. Inside the Bootstrap folder, you'll find two folders, CSS and the JS folders. Click open the CSS folder. There are many files inside the CSS folder. At the top there, you'll see there's a Bootstrap CSS file. Open this file with your preferred or the text editor that you are using. I'm going to open it with my text editor, which is Atom. Now what you are looking at here are the pre-styled Bootstrap classes for HTML elements. Let's search for btn primary using Control F for Windows, Command F on Mac. btn primary. This is the code behind our button. So this is the code behind this button right here. But Bootstrap made things quite easier for us because we didn't have to go through the trouble of writing this code line by line. All we did was just to call or target this class btn primary, which is what we added inside here. And by just adding btn primary, we were able to get this button, and that's how Bootstrap simplifies this process for us. And this is just one example of how Bootstrap makes web development easier and faster. Now let's take things further and add a navigation bar. To do that, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a div and put this button inside. So let me add a div like so. So here is the div. Let me do this. I'm going to cut this button from here and paste it inside the div. And then next I am going to give this div a class. I'm going to give it a class of nav bar. Now, as you can see, now there is a bit of space or padding between this button and the edge of this white area. And this is because we have now added a navigation bar which is already pre-styled. Now, let's just go back to our code editor and search for this navigation bar, nav bar. Now, so this is the code behind the navigation bar that we have just added. At the moment, the navigation bar is not visible because it is a white navigation bar on top of a white background. That is why it is not visible. So to make it visible, let's just add a background color. To add a background color, I'm just going to add a class here. The class will be bg for background, and then dark. And then let me run this code again and see. Now, as you can see, we have this dark background. Now the navigation bar is visible. Now we can even go back here and search for this background color that we have just added. We set bg dark. We have two results. Here is the code behind the dark background color that we just gave our navigation bar right here. Now, with just a few words, we were able to create a button and specified its size. We also created a navigation bar and specified its background color. All this using Bootstrap. And as you can see, just a few words that we used to achieve all this, and Bootstrap did all the behind the scenes work for us to achieve all this. With that, we've come to the end of the introduction to Bootstrap. In the next episode, I'll show you the different ways of downloading this front-end framework. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon to be notified when new videos come out. Till we code again next time, take care. Bye.